Good morning everybody. Today we are going to discuss on the mechanism of breathing. Breathing, otherwise called external respiration. Here exchange of gases takes place. Inhaling oxygen rich air and exhaling carbon dioxide rich air. This is just a mechanical process. No chemical reaction takes place. It is an extracellular process. This process doesn't take place inside the cell. Let us see how plants breathe. Plants breathe by the process diffusion. The direction of diffusion depends on the requirement of the plant. You know, diffusing molecules always move from a higher concentration to a lower one. If less oxygen in the plant body, from the outside environment, oxygen molecules diffuse to the cell. The direction of diffusion also depends on the environmental conditions. Except roots, all aerial parts of the plant are in direct contact with the air except submarine plants. Submarine plants or underwater plants get oxygen dissolved in water. In terrestrial plants, as the trees are spread widely, most of the plant parts are in direct contact with the air. Large intercellular spaces ensure that all cells are in direct contact with the air. What about the roots? The root hairs exchange gases under the soil, that is, the air trapped in between the soil particles. Tender stem and the leaves exchange gases through stomata, whereas in woody hard stem they have lenticels, which are the small holes present on the stem. This is how all the plant parts, root, stem and leaves perform respiration individually. On the other hand, an animal performs respiration as a single unit. During the day, both photosynthesis and respiration go on, whereas during the night, only respiration takes place. So, it is healthy to sit under a tree during the day to get fresh oxygen. Now, how breathing takes place in unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium. In unicellular organisms also, respiration takes place through the process diffusion through their cell membrane or plasma membrane. So, all the life processes are simple in unicellular organism that takes place through diffusion because the whole cell is directly exposed to the outer environment. Now we are going to discuss breathing in multicellular organism. In multicellular organism, diffusion cannot be the method of respiration or any life process. The reason is it is estimated that it would take 3 years for a molecule of oxygen to get to our toes from our lungs. So, how transportation of the oxygen taking place in complex bodied animals, we will go through that topic later on. In aquatic organisms like pisces and the larvae of frog, tadpoles, they have the breathing organs gills. Gills help to take oxygen dissolved in water. Since the amount of oxygen dissolved in water is very less, the breathing rate of gill breathers generally higher. All reptiles, birds, that is apes and mammals are lung breathers, whether they are terrestrial or aquatic. Like aquatic lung breathers, whales, dolphins, sea snakes, turtles, crocodiles, etc. Amphibians are not freely lung breathers because their larval stage, we have already discussed the larval stage of the amphibians. For example, the tadpole They are the gill breathers. They do not have lungs, so they can't live on land. Whereas the adults are the lung breathers. But when when they develop the lungs, they breathe through the lungs only on the land. They have to visit the water for laying eggs or for hibernation. That time they breathe through their moist skin, because that time they do not have the gills. So you can say all reptiles, birds and mammals are lung breathers, whereas amphibians are not purely lung breathers. In the larval stage they are the gill breathers. Now let us move towards the human respiratory system. External respiration in human. We have two nostrils. Two nostrils are separated by a septum. These nostrils, inside the nostrils, hairs are present and a mucus layer is also present. These hairs and the mucus layer stop the dust particles from entering into our body. That is the reason we are not supposed to breathe through the mouth. It is healthy to breathe through the nostrils to stop the dust particles. These nostrils lead to a pipe called trachea. You can feel in your throat region some rings. These are the cartilaginous rings which are supporting the trachea or the windpipe. These C-shaped cartilaginous rings prevent the trachea from collapsing. Now the trachea, after reaching the chest, that is the thorax, divide into two branches. They are called bronchi. Two bronchi. Bronchi is the plural of bronchus. So the air from the environment is entering the body through the external openings in our body called nostrils, which is present in the nose. Through the nostrils, the air is filtered and the warm air enters the tube called trachea. Through the trachea, it reaches bronchi. The bronchi repeatedly branch to form tinier branches called bronchioles. The bronchioles end in millions and millions of air sacs which make the lungs we call alveoli. Alveoli is the plural form of alveolus. So this is the breathing organs of human respiratory system. The nostrils, the trachea or the windpipe, two bronchi which is leading to bronchioles, and the bronchioles end in alveoli, the air sacs which make the lungs. If the alveolar surface were spread out, it would cover an area about 80 meters square, that is almost the size of a tennis court. But we use only 70% of the lung capacity. The possible lung capacity. Even a healthy person who has a very healthy lung, who does the exercise properly, also uses only 70% of the possible lung capacity. In the lungs, exchange of gases takes place. The alveoli are supplied with blood capillaries. So the fresh oxygen enters into the blood in the alveoli. This oxygen is combining with a respiratory pigment in our blood called hemoglobin, HB, which gives the red color to our blood. That is the red blood cells. So the hemoglobin, the respiratory pigments, are carried in our blood by the blood cells, red blood cells, erythrocytes. This hemoglobin has a great affinity towards oxygen. So in the blood, oxygen combines with hemoglobin and forms a substance called oxyhemoglobin. So the oxygen is transported in our body by the RBC, red blood cells, in the form of oxyhemoglobin. Incomplete combustion of carbon can lead to the production of a very poisonous substance called carbon monoxide. If you inhale this carbon monoxide, that combines with the hemoglobin and forms a poisonous substance, carboxyhemoglobin, that will make you choke. You might have heard the death of the people who lit fire in a closed room during the winter. Now, the carbon dioxide, which is carried by the blood back to the lung. In which form carbon dioxide is carried through the blood? It is an excreta, we have already learnt. This carbon dioxide is in the dissolved form. Carbon dioxide is dissolved in the blood plasma because it is more soluble in water than oxygen. Thus, you might have understood, oxygen is transported in our blood in the form of oxyhemoglobin, whereas carbon dioxide is transported in dissolved form in the blood plasma. Now let us move towards the last topic, mechanism of breathing. When we breathe in, we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm. You have already learned about diaphragm, which is a muscle, a dome-shaped muscle which separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. So the diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle which is curved towards the chest cavity. This diaphragm flattens and moves back to the original position. When we breathe in air, the chest cavity needs to be expanded. You know that the lungs are enclosed in a rib cage. So there are some muscles called intercostal muscles which help the ribs, which make the ribs to move upwards when you breathe in. That is the inhalation phase. During the inhalation, the chest cavity becomes bigger in size by the lifting of the rib cage upwards and little push towards front. During inhalation, the diaphragm moves downwards. It is flattened so that the chest cavity is increasing in size. Now the lungs are filled with oxygen-rich air. The next is exhalation. That is, we have to exhale carbon dioxide rich air. For that, the chest cavity should be reduced. For that, the rib cage comes back to the original position and the diaphragm also moves back to the original position. That is, it curves towards the chest cavity. Now, the carbon dioxide rich air is pushed out. This is the mechanism of breathing. So, the breathing is possible with the help of the rib cage, intercostal muscles and the diaphragm. Remember, during the breathing cycle, when the air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. So that's all about external respiration or breathing. Here we are going to learn the function of epiglottis. You can see in this picture the tongue, the teeth, the epiglottis. See this flap-like portion. The green color food which is chewed well in the mouth with the help of the teeth, and the tongue is rolling the food and making a ball. This is known as bolus. Now you see the food is swallowed. It is going through the food pipe. Now you see once again the food is crushed and the nicely chewed food is swallowed. You can see this epiglottis, this flap-like portion. This epiglottis is blocking this. This is the windpipe or the trachea. This windpipe or trachea is blocked by the epiglottis when the food is swallowed. Hope you have enjoyed the video. Thank you.